Hans Niemann gets lucky in a losing position with a winning tactic. How does he get out of this sticky situation? How did he survive against this Indian prodigy? Hans Niemann versus the chess kid, whose name is really long, but let's keep it short. Pragg is in the list of the top juniors, just like Hans Niemann. Pragg, he's number 7 at the age of 17. Niemann is number 5 at the age of 19. Let me know in the comments which game you prefer, game 1 or game 2. We start off with the English opening, c4, e5, g3. White wants to get central control with the bishop as well, but black wants total central control. d5 coming next. But now, it turns out, white can strike in the center with d4. If you take, the queen is actually very well placed here, because the knight cannot attack the queen. So if we go back a couple moves, after d4, Pragg got space with e4. If you go bishop g2, you're going to go d5. The game goes on, but very strange moment here. Niemann played a3 to stop any bishop b4 check. Why? Because if you go knight c3 now, this is a little bit annoying. And then you might actually take it and then go d5, something like this, where you're totally restricting this bishop. a3 played. d5, knight c3. If you take, I get the center pawn. No way. Bishop e7. Rather than getting the knight out normally. If you play knight out, well, maybe bishop g5. There's uncomfortable pressure on this diagonal. That's why Pragg went bishop e7. Bishop g2. Putting pressure in the center. f3, break it up. Take. Do you take with a pawn or you take with a bishop? Neither. You take with the knight. Anytime this capture happens, you get the center. Knight f3, castle. That's why at the moment, black is not taking this pawn. h6, taking that square away for the bishop. h3, taking this square away for the bishop, right? No, it's actually to get space. Pragg just doesn't want to take the pawn. He just doesn't want to take. You just control the entire 5th rank with your pawns. g4 played. Knight e4. Take, take, wrong. If the knight goes in the center, it turns out we can just attack this knight. Very dangerous. If the knights come off, the position is actually crumbling. That pawn's being attacked. You can actually start an attack on the king side. This is actually looking pretty good for black. Back to the game. Knight e4 played, queen c2, take, and now we take with a pawn. Knight d7. Rook b1, queen c7. Defend, attack, get the bishop in on the dark squares, right? Wrong. It's actually to get the queen in. Pragg is not even wasting time defending. Let's play queen g3. Why? Because after take, Pragg is threatening mate. But Niemann says, well, let's defend with rook f2. Who is attacking who? Can't take. Bishop takes. g6 played. Turns out, in this moment, time is so important. Knight f6 was needed. Get the knight in the game. Take the pawn. Rook belongs on the open file anyway. Couple of options for the knight to come in. I was just wondering, why not knight g5? It turns out this is a total blunder. Take, take. And then checkmate. Check on the back. We're actually running out of squares. Do you remember a few moves ago I said who was attacking who? Well, now we find out. Black is weaving a mating net with the queen and the bishop and the knight. All squares are taken. Game over. The rook has to block. We get mated. Total disaster. Going back a few moves. This was one option for Pragg to get the knight in the game. g6 played. This move makes sense. Bishop retreats, you're going to win the rook. So Niemann takes it. No, he doesn't. He doesn't even take it. Because the knight comes in. Bishop in first. Just showing here That knight is being defended by this bishop. Pawns come off, and then the knight comes in anyway. So I was checking this idea out, where the queen actually tries to trade queens. No. What a cool journey, where the knight gets into the attack in time. No queen trade. Queen, bishop, bishop, knight in the attack, game over. That rook doesn't have a good square. You cannot move back. Please remember, that is mate. Back to the game. G6, queen d2. Really cool move by Niemann. He understands you got to trade queens. So if you move the bishop, queen there is now a really good option. So critical moment. Bishop f5, hit the rook. Take. Rook b8. The rook's come off. Turns out, black might have some play, giving up a pawn. The b file could be useful. Queen f4. Not right now. This is part of Niemann's strategy. He's under pressure. This queen is so dangerous. A good strategy is to trade your opponent's best piece. Queen f4 played. Bishop d6. Attack, defend. Great move. Take, take. Hit the rook. Beautiful bishop. Just entombing white. Hit the rook. This rook, still available on b1. It drops back. Rook e8. I've circled everything. Let me explain. So let's count it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 6 versus 5. White has a brilliant pawn on h6. If we look at the bishops, black's bishops are much stronger than white's. That knight has more potential than this one. Do you remember in the game, this knight could hop in when the queen was on the board. But now, that is a very dangerous move coming up. Bear this in mind. Capture happens in the center, and now knight g5. This is a great move. Great multi-purpose move. There's pressure on f7 with the knight and the rook. Bishop comes in. Advance. One move, 3 ideas. That's a great move. Knight b6. A step in the wrong direction. It defends the pawn, but could have gone this way. Your knight is actually closer to the king, and you're going to see why this move is better, because it stops h7. Knight b6. Brilliant move here. Absolutely brilliant move. Got to put pressure on f7. Bishop h3. You might be thinking, why is that a brilliant move? Because of the following move. Wonderful move for white to crash through, but can you see it all? Now is the perfect time for me to jump to game 2. We're going to go through that and then come back to see the finish for game 1. Next. Niemann has black this time against Pragg. We have King's Indian attack at the moment, a lot of control in the center. We have the English. G6. Black is getting full control. 1, 2, 3, 4 on it. White is fighting for the d5 square. Knight e7, both sides castle, and now bishop g5. You can block this way. h6, hit the bishop, and an amazing decision by Pragg. I've never seen this before, where you just deliberately give it up. So why is Pragg going for this exchange? Because he's going to make the argument this bishop sucks. It's behind his own pawn. This bishop is going to be brilliant, so I might as well give it up for a knight, and then my 2 knights are going to be really strong. Knight d2. Bishop opens up. Defend the pawns. Rook b1. Typical move in the English. b4. Pawn break. Open it up. This bishop is in the game. Rook b8. It's like you're looking ahead. If this happens, this happens. Take. No. Take. Towards the center. Queen is on a semi-open file, and so is the rook. I quite like black's position here. Just a total transformation. Queen c2 played, knight c6. You can go in to hit the queen. a5 chosen first, just to stop white getting space with b4. e3. Bishop e6. Knight d5. No way. Do not make this kind of trade. This bishop is absolutely brilliant right in the center of the board. This bishop sucks. No. King h7. I was wondering why not get space here. Turns out it's an absolutely dreadful move. Because of this. There's so much discoordination between the rooks. You can't move the rook or else you lose your knight. And if you do this, I mean, what is this knight doing on the edge? Absolutely gorgeous placement of the white pieces. Perfect control. Perfect light square control. Black's pieces suck. Let's go back a few moves. So this pawn break is not available. King h7. Knight e4. Big moment now. Critical moment. It blocks the bishop. But then this knight has a chance to get in the game, as you'll see later. This is the disaster. This is the winning tactic I'm talking about. Coming up at the end. It's going to be a turnaround. But for who? Take in the center. Take! The bishop is blocked. Knight c3. Another option is this. Then you come here. If here, which we're going to see in the game anyway, this is a brilliant knight. Fixing the pawns. Look out for this strategy in your own games if your opponent overextends. Knight c3, b5, and now a4. Just like we've seen, the knight actually sits on b5 this time rather than c4. I actually quite like c4 because it attacks 2 pawns, but here it only attacks 1. Queen d7, rooks to the center, king h1, and now h5. 2 reasons. You want to go h4, break up the structure, and the bishop might come out as well. So queen c4 stops it, and it improves the placement of the queen anyway. f5, controlling all these squares, but white controls them as well. f4. This position is very tense. Hit the queen, it drops back, and now h4. Blunder. Normally it's a good idea to open up the position, but who is attacking who? I think black should just be waiting in this kind of position. Don't play h4. You can actually take. When I first saw this, I thought this just looked good for black. Niemann is actually getting somewhere with bishop f6, hit the pawn. Queen f2, and I was just thinking king here, queen back is also good. Now if this is a problem. Turns out, these pawns are so weak. If you go here, you can take, you can even do this. It's actually really annoying now. Take, e4. Open up, open up, open up. Pawns are weak. King is much weaker than the king. Awful. So all of a sudden, things change in this manner. Niemann goes about it a different way. e4, locks it up. But it doesn't actually work, because you don't lock it up. Take in the center. Now f5, blow open. If you take, take. This bishop is better than this. This rook is better than this. Black's rooks are defenders. White's rooks are attackers. White's knight is an attacker. Every piece, every white piece of Pragg's is better than Niemann's. This trade, you can't do it. So after f5, you take in the center, but now take with check. Hide behind the pawns. This is called an umbrella pawn. You don't actually want to take. It's just too dangerous. Rook here, which we're going to see pretty soon in the game anyway. Hide behind your opponent's pawn. King g7. But why? It's 2 pawns. 2 runners. Ouch. Turn around. Coming soon. Rook d1. Hit the knight. If you move it, you're going to take on d6. So queen e6. Queen g3. Attack the pawn. You also defend this pawn anyway. Total disaster for Niemann. Bishop e5, hit the queen, the rooks face off. Queen g5, you're planning to come in. h7, checkmate. Rooks come off. Now hit the queen. Hit the pawn. Hit the queen. Check. Can't take. Even though the queen is being attacked because of this. Check. Game over. You take the queen and you do not take the bishop. No way. You take and you get a queen. That's the big difference. Maybe this is what Niemann missed. Let's go back a few moves. In this moment, check, king at g8, queen g5, it's mate. Rook f8, and a really cool moment here. Very difficult moment to spot. I don't blame Praggnanandhaa for not playing it. You see the blue arrow, turns out, you put the rook, you keep white's rook on the 7th rank, and it's winning. Such a difficult move to make. Almost impossible, I would say, for a human to make this move. because you can see from the green arrow, you're just allowing the rook in, except you're not. All the squares are covered. Check out the other blue arrow on the left, the queen can come in. Bishop g7, this is what I was trying to understand. What happens if you just cut the queen coming off? You can see what I've shown. This is a winning plan. You can actually go king here and then here. King g1, so then you control f1, I mean. But now is your chance. Pause the video or let the timer run. Can you find an absolutely brilliant move? And then we're going to go back to the first game. This coordination between the black forces bishop h3 just in time. It attacks the queen, continues to defend f1 so the rook can't come in. If you take, beautiful geometry. If it's black's move again, it's mate. But no, it is white's move, check. King h8, check. King g8, mate. All squares covered. It's quite nice, f7 is covered by the pawn and the rook. Let's go back a few moves. Bishop h3, what if you don't do that? Queen e5, queen here, offer a trade, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, you still pick up enough anyway. And please remember, you're up 3 pawns anyway. I don't really count that as a pawn, you're up 2. Back to the game. Pragg is a human being. He just took the rook because he's winning anyway. Take. Where's the turnaround? I was promised a turnaround. Bishop takes pawn. 3 pawns. How is black going to swindle Praggnanandhaa? Knight f6. Check. Queen h6. I mean, brilliant move here. Stop the knight. Taking. You chuck your queen. Not only that, you can see from the blue arrow, you're coming in on the back. So king f7. You get off the back anyway. And a cool move here is actually just queen there. So then you're coming in. Then block, and then the game goes on something like this. Check, and you actually get the knight in this direction. Check out the green arrows. You're controlling lots of light squares with the knight and the bishop, and then the queen comes in as well. Very dangerous. But if we go back to this moment, it was not taken. Knight c7. Praggnanandhaa blunders. Brilliant move here. Total turnaround. Now's your chance. Pause the video or let the timer run. What did black play? Queen g4. A threat out of nothing. Chess is very difficult. Very, very difficult. If you move the bishop, so then you're still on this diagonal, check. Check. And if you come up, mate. Bishop, c2 chosen, but you still come in. Game over, check. And now, king g1, only move. Final chance, guys. Final chance. 3-second timer. Can you find the winning combination for black? This is the winning tactic. Check. Only move. Gotta take it. All squares covered. Game over. Oh yeah, the funny thing is you don't even have to take the queen. It's actually mate. The king has to move back to g1. Only square. Check. In the corner, mate. Complete turnaround. Now we're going to go back to game 1, finishing it off. Let's take it from here. Bishop h3 played, a brilliant move by Niemann, and now you take on f7, sacrificing a piece. All the squares around the king are covered. Bishop e6. Black is up a piece. Now what? Check. King in the corner. It's mate. Knight f7 is mate if the bishop didn't control f7. Take the pawn. Bishop g8. And Niemann actually saw further than Pragg. Brilliant move here. Attack the bishop. And it's not even about this arrow I drew. If you take it, that is mate. All of a sudden. So you are going to pick this bishop back up because there are no good squares. Brilliant combination from Hans Niemann. Bishop e1. Bishop f4. Can't get out. Niemann doesn't even rush to capture it. He's showing total control. It's move 31, by the way. This bishop has finally found a way into the game. Knight c4. Take, check. By the way, this is not mate. The king actually has h7 as an escape square. Check. Really cool move, rook h6, by the way, because you displace the king and the rook. Swing over. And now let's do a count. Pawns 1, 2, 3, 4 against 2. Active rook, defensive rook, which can go here. Knight is very well placed, but this knight has more potential to hop in. This bishop and this bishop, well, that bishop is very strong attacking the pawn. Now what? Black takes. Ready to take with check, you defend. See, he's not even rushing to check. Maybe the king comes up and then here attack the bishop. No, Niemann is actually showing control. Defend the pawn and white is ready to take. If you play this, which is such a passive move anyway, something like this, check, hit the rook, and then you can pick up the pawn anyway. And the funny thing is you could pick up this, you could pick up that next. That's why Pragg didn't play a defensive move like rook in the corner. Bishop d2, couple pieces on it, king f2, 3 pieces on it now, check, king does a runner, no need. One option is this, and then the game is so close, something like this. 2 against 1. Niemann still has to win this kind of position. If we go back, Praggnanandhaa went crazy. Check, check, king up, knight f7. Running out of squares. Only those 2 squares. King e4. Now, why did he do this? Now I can see it, because he wants to come here. And then the king is so active. Now I get it. That's why he ran his king into the middle. But he actually missed Niemann's next move. Now's your chance. Pause the video, 5 seconds. Can you see how to stop the king coming in? Simple. Use your own king. And it turns out this king only has 1 square. It's going to be mate very soon. Bishop c1. Niemann takes that final square away. Rook f6. It's now mate. Can't go here because your knight is actually defending it. So knight g5 is mate. And there's no good way to stop it. There's one way out, but it loses a lot. If you take, now that pawn is under attack. But this doesn't work because you just take. Take. When you take, this square is now available for the fork. Check. You pick up the rook. Pragg is in big trouble. Knight g5 check. There's no good way to stop it. So rook g8 played. Throws in a check. Niemann picks up knight for rook. Take, take. Game over. Not only is white up so much, rook f4 is mate. The king has found himself stranded in the center. Let me know in the comments, which was your favorite game? A quick review. Game 1, we had the English. Niemann broke open the center. Big center building up, but black actually got attacking chances. Defend against mate. Understanding. Got to trade Pragg's queen off. They come off. Black's pieces are still so active. Knight to g5. Bishop h3. Brilliant move. This is the critical moment. And I bet Pragg missed this. You're in. You're down a bishop. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You control too many squares. Brilliant move, h7. Bishop comes in. Pick up everything. Check. Check. The king goes for a run. You stop the king coming in. And mate is threatened. Pick it up. Game over. Was this your favorite game? Or was it the next one? We begin with the English. A lot of central control. Pragg gives up the bishop for the knight. Next key moment. Bishop for the knight. Niemann's turn to give it up. changing the nature completely. The knight sits in the black position. Niemann goes for a kingside attack, but it worked out really well for Pragg. Lock up the center? No, it just opened up the king. Rooks come off. Brilliant moment here where we need to keep the rook, and then we saw a brilliant combination later with the bishop coming in. Rooks come off. Totally winning, but we all make mistakes. Chess is a very easy game to hate, which is what Niemann has said in the past. Check. And then we pick up the queen, and that's the funny thing, that's not true. We mate in the corner. Let me know in the comments, which was your favourite, game 1 or game 2? And so, here we have it, the final score. 3 draws, a win for Pragg, win for Niemann, win for Niemann, and win for Niemann. So it's 3-1, but if we include the draws, it's 4.5, 1.5 in Niemann's favour. In the top left, we have Hans Niemann versus Hikaru Nakamura. Really? Does chess speak for itself? And in the bottom right, we have YouTube's selection.